Good morning. First of all, a big thank you to the organisers of the conference for inviting me to come. I'm very pleased to come and share a little bit of what we've been doing at Liverpool Hope with you today. I know Father Joseph came to Hope and saw what we were doing and was particularly keen that we came and shared this with you. As was said, I'm not a librarian, but the library falls within my responsibility at Hope. So it's my job as the senior manager to make sure the library runs smoothly. And so the things that you see here are the things that we've done as a university to the library, but also that the library is in a much bigger context at Hope, and it's very much the heart of the university. And I hope you can see that from what I explained to you. A little bit about Liverpool Hope for you. Liverpool Hope was founded in 1844, so it's 170 years old. We're very proud of that. It came together as the joining of a number of institutions which came together to form Liverpool Hope University. At the time it was created, there was very little education, particularly higher education for women in the UK, so we're very proud of the fact that we really started the tradition outside Oxford and Cambridge of women being educated, and particularly at that time, women becoming teachers. We consider ourselves to be a fully ecumenical university, so we're fully Anglican and fully Catholic, but we're very much faith-based, and we operate at all times with our faith at the front of everything we do. In terms of the UK system, we fully became a university in 2005. So, as a university, we aspire to educate people in mind, body, and spirit. And it's underlined further by the motto in faith, hope, and love, which you can see on the bottom of the university's coat of arms. And you can see we have it in a stained glass window right at the front of the university, and you can see the picture of that there. In the UK, the university's corporate plan is considered to be the map which guides the university and what it's doing. And I've just given you a little snippet of our corporate plan there, because I think it tells you everything you need to know about Liverpool Hope. So Liverpool Hope University pursues the path of excellence in scholarship and collegial life without reservation or hesitation. The university's distinctive philosophy is to educate in the round, mind, body and spirit, in the quest for truth, beauty and goodness. And very much everything we do, we're trying to look for that quest for truth, beauty and goodness in everything. I'm not going to read this through for you because you can read it for yourself, but this is the detail of the corporate plan in terms of how we're trying to create learning spaces, which are places to study in, but places to socialise in, places to pray in, and places that people can learn at all times. So the environment of the university is very important to us, and we've spent a lot of time making sure that we create beautiful spaces for people to be in, for people to learn in, and for people just to be there during the day. So it's our philosophy that learning doesn't only happen in classrooms, it happens across the whole campus. So we've been very much trying to turn our whole campus into a library space, if you'd like to think about it in that way. So we're striving to provide beautiful spaces for learning and working, and beautiful spaces allowing us to go ahead with that quest for truth, beauty and goodness. So I'm going to show you a few of the spaces that we've done this in, and what you have to understand that this is in a context which is completely digital. So across all of these spaces, students have a fully Wi-Fi accessible experience, and also somewhere where they can access all of the digital resources of the library. So we're trying to create beautiful spaces, not necessarily actually within the library space, but spaces in which students can study outside of the library but get the resources at the same time, but always with that theme of truth, beauty and goodness. If you learn in a beautiful space, it may be easier to find truth and goodness. So this is our gateway building. This is the way into the university. And you can see the sculpture that we've hung from the ceiling, which is called the Seeds of Hope. And underneath that, we've installed computers for students, spaces for them to learn, spaces for them to sit. I couldn't resist the picture of it in the snow for you, seeing as we're here in India. We've also completely reconstituted our cafe facilities so that, again, they're learning spaces. And again, in the cafe, which we call Fresh Hope, you can access all of the digital resources. So it's a learning space outside of our traditional library, but there to allow students to learn in a beautiful space. And I hope you can see that what we've done to it has really created a lovely space for them to learn. We've also extended our Wi-Fi so that you can get it in the gardens, and that seems to be a common theme that we've been coming across over the last day or so. So these are some of our gardens at Hope. Again, the students can access all of the digital resources in the gardens, and the gardens have been designed so that there are spaces where students can spend time together to learn in the beauty of the gardens. And you might think in the UK we don't get that much time in the gardens, but actually we're quite used to putting on our overcoats and being outside in the fresh air, so we do use these spaces for learning. And again, you can see that there are quiet spaces, there are spaces for reflection in the gardens. These gardens have won prizes in the UK because they're such an inspirational learning space, and we're very, very proud of them. And I know that Father Joseph, when he saw them, was very impressed by how we'd managed to design that. So, if we move on to the library at Hope has had lots of incarnations, the Shepherd Warlock Library. In 1997, where our endeavour really started on the library, we had several small libraries across the university, and we made the decision to bring them together. So we didn't feel that they were functioning very well individually as small libraries. So we decided that we would bring them together into one single large library. We based the library on St Hugh's College in Oxford, which was founded in the 19th century, which is actually very, very traditional. And we wanted the library to blend in with what was there. So we have a lot of traditional buildings at Hope, and we wanted to make sure that what we built blended in with that so that we didn't destroy that idea of a beautiful environment. The library was named the Shepherd Warlock Library because of the Archbishop and Bishop, so the Catholic Archbishop and the Anglican Bishop, who came together to form the colleges, to bring us together to be an ecumenical university. So it was an honour to them that we named the library after them. So this is the Shepherd Warlock Library. We've been talking about the insides of libraries, and just now we've talked about the outsides of libraries. This is the outside of our library. It was done in this way to blend in, as I say, with the traditional building, to make sure that it was a seamless transition from the library to the rest of the university. And one of the most important things is that it's built around what we call the graduation courtyard. So this courtyard is a very well-established part of the university. It's the heart, if you like, of the university. And you can see the arches are where the library looks out onto the graduation courtyard. And everything we did, the Vice-Chancellor's absolute bottom line was that you mustn't mess around with the courtyard. So the courtyard must stay. And you can see in the bottom there, some of the students at graduation, they gather round the fountain and they throw their hats in the air, and it's a wonderful day. So whatever we did to the library, we didn't want to destroy that atmosphere there. We brought those libraries together in 1997. It was a success to start with. It was very interesting, though, that as time went on, that the usage of the library dropped. So we did another review in 2012, and that suggested that although the design was functional, it really wasn't getting staff and students to stay there. And we thought long and hard about this, and we realised that we'd made the digital technologies so accessible across the university that the students didn't really feel they needed to come to the library unless they actually needed a physical book. There was no need for them to come because the resources were out there all over the university. And we felt, although that was a wonderful thing, we also felt that the library was a place that students should be and should feel they should come. So we thought very hard about what we might do about that. We also thought about the entrance to the library, and we decided that the entrance to the library was incredibly functional and not very inspiring. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to make the entrance to the library a place where students wanted to come through. It tempted students in. So again, we went through decisions about how we might refurbish, change the spaces, use the spaces in a different way, as many people have already said this morning. So we employed an architect, and we gave the architect a brief. And this is really as a result of consultation with students, consultation with staff. So we went out there and we asked people, what would it be that would make you come to the library? What do you need there? There was a really big request from the students for personal and group study space, and I know we heard some people say that yesterday as well. Group study space is really at the heart of a lot of what the students wanted. We realised that the book collections needed reordering and sorting out. The reserve collection needed to be put away in a place where people could get it if they needed to. We needed to make sure that the technology was really up to date alongside the book stock. We needed the printing and photocopying resources to be there. The library staff spaces were a real issue. We had huge amounts of space behind the scenes that the staff were using, which wasn't accessible to either the students or the academic staff, and it was felt that we needed to look at how that space was used. Again, everybody said to us, well, if you want the students to come to the library, why don't you ask them? And so everything that we did was a result of talking to the students, and that was an incredibly refreshing experience to actually say to the students, what do you want of a library and of the staff? And just to remind me that we absolutely had to keep the courtyard. So the Vice-Chancellor said you can do more or less anything as long as you keep the courtyard. So we had that intention that was to improve the experience of staff and students, to encourage them to stay in the library rather than picking up a book and going somewhere else, stay in the library to work, and to provide environments that accommodated different learning styles. So I want to learn in a different way. Can I do that in the library? So I've got you some before and after shots. This is the foyer of our library. You can see before it was a very open space. It was very technical, if you like. It was very bare. You couldn't tell it was a library. So you walked in, it was like walking into the airport here. It was very empty. So what we did was we moved all the books downstairs into this space. So as you walk in the library now, you can see the after picture. The first thing you see is shelves of books. And that's made a huge difference. The architect convinced us this was a good idea, and I didn't believe him to start with, but now when you walk in, you know you've gone into a library. There's no mistaking it. So the original architecture was beautiful, but it was just beautiful architecture, and it didn't bring you in and say to you, this is a library. So the books are there right in front of you now. That wasn't a costly exercise. We simply moved the bookshelves downstairs. Again, this is before. The books are all hidden away. I keep referring to an airport, but that's what it used to remind me of. Very open spaces, lots and lots of lovely architecture, very few books. So these are before pictures. And these are the after pictures. And you can see we've formed warm corridors. We find nooks and crannies for students to work. You can see in the bottom corner there. Okay. You can see in the bottom corner there that we've set desks round the courtyard, so you can look out to the courtyard and work. And lots of light, lots of opportunities to read in interesting places. I'm not going to tell you this in any detail, but the other thing we did, I'm sure some of the proper librarians here would love this, is that we've created a special collections vault as part of this project. So a British Museum standard vault is there, and the advantage of that for us was that the cathedrals then gave us some of their collections of very valuable books for us to keep at the university. So we now have 17th and 18th century books, lots of missals, all sorts of materials printed before the 1500s. So we're very, very proud of that, and that only came about because of these changes we made. So this is our special collections vault and some of the things that are in there. You can see some of the beautiful manuscripts, and I as a scientist like to go and look at them because they're just fabulous. Just lastly then, a couple of the things that we did for the students. The most popular thing of all we did was create these spaces that we've called study pods. They're very small, enclosed spaces, completely artificially enclosed, and 6 students can sit round in that little pod and work together. And there's a connection for their computers, so they can plug in their laptops and bring the content up on a screen. There's lots and lots of plugs there. They're very cosy. They absolutely love them. They're just full of students the whole time. The other thing we did was colour-coded the floors. So the areas in the library are colour-coded so that students can very clearly see what each space is for. And I saw somebody talk about that in track 1 yesterday as well. So our administration areas are magenta, our help desks are red, and media services are blue. The other thing we've done as well is to get the library staff to work on the library floor, so they're not in little back offices, they're all on desks on the library floor and the students approach them. So the outcome of this refurbishment is we've got a new beautiful space, we're very proud of it, it's a lovely place to work. The visits to the library every day have increased, they've about doubled, so that the number of students going through the door of the library is twice what it was. The more impressive thing is that the length of time that people spend in the library has increased by about 6 times. So people are going and staying rather than going and getting a book and coming away. And the outcome of that, which is a nice problem to have, is that we just haven't got enough room in our library anymore for students. So every time you go in there, it's completely full. And the complaint I'm getting now is, I can't find a seat in your library. I think that's a lovely complaint to have. So the good news is we're planning an extension. So we're actually going to make our library space bigger. Thank you very much.